Well, since everybody's quiet and we've got 15 seconds, we'll go ahead and start early, call the meeting to order. We'll begin this meeting by having the secretary call the roll.
Dana Camp,
Here.
Nanette Reese,
Here.
Robin Bridges, Warren McCord,
Here.
Bob Reichenbaugh,
Here.
Wendy Birmingham,
Here.
David Wisdom, Joseph Astrup,
Here.
Phil Chancellor.
Here. All right, we have a quorum and we are ready to do business. First order of business after the roll call is what we call citizen communication. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the Planning Commission or bring to the Planning Commission's attention something that does not relate to an item on the agenda, this would be the opportunity for you to come forward and do that. If you do, we ask you to sign in. Where's the sign-in sheet? The sign-in sheet's on the end of the table there, and state your name and address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Is there anyone wish to bring something to our attention that is not part of an agenda item? I see no one, so we'll move on then to old business and staff. Chair has no old business. What about staff? Any old business we need to discuss? Then we'll move on to the first item of the agenda, which is the consent agenda, which are those items that do not require public hearing. And we have two items, which are minutes of the packet meeting in November and the regular meeting on November the 9th.
I move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve and seconded the packet meeting and the regular meeting of November 9th, 2023 minutes. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the minutes are approved. New business, we have right at the top, we have the waiver request, Mill Creek Data Center. Who's presenting that? Oh, Allison. Oh.
Yeah, I will. All right. Thank you. Yeah, so this is the waiver for the Mill Creek Data Center, and so this is an appeal to a denial from the engineering department for a waiver request. So with that, turn it over to y'all.
All right, what they want is a waiver for one of the,
No, so they requested a waiver of the engineering staff, and the engineering staff issued a letter of denial granting one of the two waiver requests.
all right, does the applicant have a representative here and would like to address this request? Yes, sir, come forward.
I'm Lee Tharp, the civil engineer record on the job. Really here to answer any questions for discussion that y'all might have, but I think the biggest thing to point out, and I know it was in the packet of all the information you guys got, but it's just the number of trips is the reason why we're requesting the appeal to the waiver denial. The facility is just not supporting a large number of traffic, or a high number of traffic, large number of employees, 4 total employees per shift, really small, especially for this kind of project. So that's why we wanted to bring it before you guys. So any questions you got, I'm here to answer.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Does the board have any
So
questions?
it's just a right turn lane. Is that, I didn't get it.
That's correct.
I missed this one.
Yeah,
I was
one
late.
right turn lane. This does not require a public hearing, and do you wish to discuss this further?
I just want to clarify that the Allison and the public, the engineering department are recommending that we deny the eastern entrance, but they recommend that we retain the western entrance for safety or whatever. Okay.
Other?
I guess I understand too, one of the reasons why, what's behind this is, you know, that's the entryway to the industrial park, and there's a lot of truck traffic that goes through there. And so, you know, maybe 2 might be too much, but, you know, at least 1 is useful, especially if you get, you don't want to bottleneck that area. So I'd be for approving what the staff has put forward.
Okay, so they're seeking an appeal to the denial, so the motion would be either to approve or disapprove the decision by the of the engineering department. Is that basically the way I think it would go?
Is there a hardship that was presented? Did I miss that?
No, it's just that they were very few employees.
Right.
The
Number of
company that's
traffic.
operating has very few employees on a road, off of a road with a lot of traffic, increasing traffic. But they only have,
I'll move to approve, PC case WZ 2023-09, as proposed by the engineering department.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded. Does anyone need an explanation of the motion? Any further, because it was
Voting
clear?
to deny the appeal.
That's right.
Is what that motion was.
That's right.
Yes.
The motion is to
Deny the
deny the appeal. Okay. Are we ready for the motion?
We did a motion.
I mean, not a motion, but for the vote, all in favor of the motion to deny the appeal, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no, and the motion carries. The next item of business is a preliminary plat for Dawson Village Phase 1.
Yes, sir. This is a request for preliminary plat approval for a 36-lot performance residential development for townhouses. And the request also includes a waiver to allow a subdivision for lots on a private drive. The property is located within the Cox and Wire PDD, which is located at Cox and Wire. It encompasses about 49 acres, and the residential portion that we're concerned with tonight takes up about 16 acres of that. This is the revised master development plan for the project. It shows an overall unit count of 162. It was approved in December of 2021 as a multiple unit development with the units located on one lot of record. And the PDD also includes assisted living facility and commercial space up here. The applicant is wishing now, instead of a multiple unit development product, to divide the property into townhomes. And it will take place in phases. This will be the first phase and includes 32 townhouse lots, 2 open space lots, a lot for the private drive, and then a lot for future development.
Where's the private drive?
The private drive, it travels here
All that?
All internal, and then this one right here.
and here,
Okay.
and then up here. The applicant wishes to keep these streets private in order to allow gated access at the entrances on Cox and Wire roads. And a PDD amendment is not required for this. Change in product type as performance residential unit, or all types of performance residential developments are permitted in PDDs.
Okay.
And the MDP layout remains the same. So staff recommends approval of the waiver and the plat. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So
Yeah, of the existing, of this private drive, what would be a private drive, how many of those, how much of that is already kind of built to the capacity of, let's say, a city street? Or could live up to the standards of the city street?
I believe when I traveled out here, I know here, here out to Wire. I can't recall if this portion has been
Yeah,
constructed
it is.
already.
It is.
It is.
And
And-
is that portion the one that's not really a kind of up to snuff of standards for a city street?
I'm not certain of that.
Yeah,
So our private street standards are that they have to construct the build-up to our standards and certify that it's built to our standards, but they do that on their own. Now, they don't meet all of our design standards, just the build-up requirements.
do they satisfy that right now, do you know?
I would have to check, I'm not absolutely sure.
Okay, maybe Brett can answer that.
Okay.
I will also note, we did have a number of staff comments. The applicant did provide a revised plat and master development plan that addresses those.
So it does meet and/or exceed current standards.
With approval of the waiver to subdivide off of a private drive.
Okay.
That's the question. Okay. All right, thank you. I'm sure that the developer's representative would like to Address this one.
Good evening, Brett Basquin with the Foresight Group. I know there's a lot of confusion at packet meeting on this one, so just want to kind of, boil this one down a little bit. To answer your question, these roads are designed, built to city standards. There's no difference in these roads than the roads across the street that is a fee simple, single-family residential. When we do private streets, we design them and build them just like they're a subdivision street. So it's the same, meets all the requirements of that. In regards to like the request here, if I boil it down, there's no difference in what we're doing. The only difference is when we originally got into this project, we were envisioning that the homeowner would own this in a condo ownership. In a condo ownership, they basically would own everything from the drywall and paint inside the building and the contents inside, right? The actual structure itself, the roof, the brick on the outside is all owned in a common condominium ownership. What we're talking about now is owning them in a fee simple where there'll be property lines that actually separate the units. These are still going to be built as a quad. It's a 4-unit building on one level. And, the people will actually own the yards and part of the driveways that they are as before they were being in common ownership. The way the Property Owners Association will be set up is still, just like we talked about before, all the exterior roofs, lawn maintenance, all of that's going to be taken care of as part of the HOA. But when we got in the middle of this and we're building, there was a change. And the change came in how the insurance industry deals with condominium ownership or condominiums in regards to insurance. When you talk about condo attached, they don't look anything different, whether it's a 20-story condo building at the beach, a 100-story condo in downtown Atlanta, or a 4-unit quad here. They look at it all as the same. With the amount of natural disasters that have taken place in the last 3 years between Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, most insurance carriers have exited the industry. We've had some building failures down in Florida, buildings collapse, so most of these. So it's very, very difficult to get that. So this is the original master plan that was approved in December 2021. The only difference between now and then is we're showing more amenity space. The units are the same. We're not changing the number of units. We're not changing the location of any units. The one thing is we moved the dog park inside the amenity area that was slightly outside. But you can see we got pickleball courts. We have a community garden. We have all this stuff in this amenity area that's more defined now than what it was before. The big issue the second big issue we're running into is, can I scroll back? Wow, going the wrong way. We have 2 entrances, okay? We have 2 entrances. One's on Wire Road and one's on Cox Road. Well, even right now, with what's going on is we were building it to private streets because this is a 55 and up restricted community. That demographic tends to like security. So we wanted private streets to be able to have gates, because you're not allowed to have gates on public streets. What we're having out there right now is we're having an excessive amount of cut-through traffic, people cutting the corner to not go through the Cox and Wire roundabout. As you can see, there's about 3,000 feet. If you go around the exterior, you can cut through, and it's 1,300 linear feet. It's a big problem, and it's coming through. It's come back to where they've put roll-offs in between to block the people from, if they're trying to cut through, they got to go around the circle to then cut through to make it more difficult. So, ideally, we wouldn't have the cut-through traffic. But we do, so that it just further reinforces why we need the gates. I'm not as up to snuff on the actual change in the insurance, but I'll be happy to have Warren, who's the actual developer, come up and explain that a little bit more.
Another Warren.
Yes, another Warren.
Let's make sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Warren Jolly, the owner. Like Brett said, our intention was fully to develop this as condo. I've developed thousands of condos, so I'm familiar with the rules and how they work. The old days, 10, 20 years ago, when you get a bulk condo insurance, it was actually cheaper for a bigger project to have the bulk insurance policy, and it paid in the HOA fees. Today, I had the condo insurance set up, we had the company set up, all the documents, we had all the reserve study, all the estimates and what it was gonna cost for insurance. We had the disclosure package to all the residents that we sold several in there. And then all of a sudden, we got some closings coming up, and the rate that we had, the carrier, LOO quit. They said, we're not gonna cover the insurance anymore. We went to Dongle Insurance, won't cover it, Philadelphia, CAU, Travelers, Nationwide, Auto Owners, AmTrust. All these carriers have left the casualty market for property. And I've got some other properties, and we tried to, insurance is crazy right now on all properties, and mainly in condos, like Brett said. Normally, a condo is several structures, several stories high. We had the freeze last December. If you guys know, you guys had a lot of apartments downtown that flooded. Condos do the same thing. Same thing with the hurricanes and what's going on with fires. They're just not covering these big projects. So we'd have to go through the secondary excess market, which the insurance is about 4 times the cost, and then the deductible is about 5 times the deductible. And luckily, when we built this project, we could have built this with 1-hour common walls and a little cheaper construction. Because it was an age restricted, and we wanted to do a quality project, we built it with 2-hour walls. And they're actually got a 2-hour wall, is a Custa wall between each unit. So they were built like townhome construction. If we wouldn't have built them like townhome construction, we wouldn't be able to even talk to you today. But we did that, and so we got 4 buildings built, 1 under construction. And that's basically our hardship is the thing. We can't control the insurance market. We don't want to pass this on to our homeowners in future years. And what's the benefit of making it fee simple is they can get their own insurance and package up with Allstate or State Farm with their auto and so forth. And then it's just like a house. But if it's a condo, you got by law, the insurance association is supposed to cover the whole common elements, and that's where you can't get the insurance. Again, the cut through is a big issue, and we're actually trying to get the gates working now because people just fly through there, and you wouldn't think. First of all, I don't think people like the roundabouts, first of all, but you can see the distance, how much shorter it is to cut through. And so being an elderly, age-restricted neighborhood, walkability is flat with all the amenities there. We would love to keep it gated. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, this requires a public hearing. So we'll open that public hearing now, and if there's anyone here who wish to ask questions or make any commentary regarding this particular proposal, this is the time to do it now. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone? I see no one, so we'll close the public hearing and continue discussion among the commission.
Do we need to do the waiver separate, or can it be done at the same time?
So separate.
I'm sorry?
Separate.
It's okay, two motions. And one is the preliminary plat approval, and then the other is the waiver.
Which would you like to do first?
You can have the preliminary plat approval without the waiver, which may not be what they're wanting, but what I mean is, I think start with the plat approval, and then the waiver.
Okay.
Excuse me. So you should consider the waiver first.
Really?
Yeah. So consider the waiver and then make the decision on the plats.
Okay, whatever, okay.
I'm going to move to approve PP 2023 029 waiver of Article 4.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the waiver request to Article 4, Section E4.
So let's have a little bit of discussion.
All right, discuss them.
So the conundrum we have, it looks like, is that if under the current guidelines, you can't subdivide off of a private street, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Is
But
that
if,
for any development or just townhouses?
be simple.
Yeah, for
Be
any,
simple.
yeah, for anything.
Right. And so, and if we have a public road there, you can't have gates, right? Okay, so what we're looking at is, if we approve the waiver and we have a private street, we can have gates. Okay.
And subdivide off of
Say again?
and subdivide off of a private street.
And then we have to subdivide off a private street, which is against our guidelines. Okay, so that's, hopefully wanted to kind of wrap my head around the whole thing to start with.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of ask, why do we, so we had those guidelines because we want to make sure that single-family dwellings always have access, are always on streets, right? And we don't have gated communities.
Yeah, I guess I can't speak to the reasoning behind why that was the policy, but I know internally it is something that we're looking at formalizing and kind of getting on the same page internally across the board. And I think the purpose behind it, there's utility concerns, there's access concerns for the public, but I mean, there's a number of concerns why it was something that we stuck to for a while.
You know, in the previous times when gated, a time or two when gated communities have come up, the concept of the public street is a public street, allowable by anybody as far as they're following the regulations and the rules. So basically, then you cannot fence off a public street. So that's why you have to go, if you want a gated community, to gate the access, then it would be a private street.
And right now, a gated community has to be a condominium type of development according to our guidelines. Right? You can't have fee simple.
So how will this be maintained? Is it an HOA?
HOA.
If it remains a private drive, how's it gonna be maintained?
It's exactly the same. Instead of having a condo association that maintains everything, you have an HOA association that maintains everything. Just like Brett said, everything will be the same. The only difference is the insurance requirement would not be required by the association. It would put on the individual property owner to get the insurance. Everything else, exterior, landscaping, amenities is the same.
Okay,
So really, it's a matter of whether to gate or not to gate.
right, I think so.
If you pass a waiver, since the roads are already built to street standards, to the city's standards for streets, then the question before us is whether or not we want to allow to have a gated community with fee simple housing. And if that's a precedent we want to set.
And I think that one of the little uncharted areas that we're talking about, and I think staff is gonna look into this more carefully, is that most of the special circumstances we're talking about, that warrant waivers, is not of the developers making. The problem is, we've never had it, this is an insurance issue. You can't get them insured one way, so he has to go the other way to get it insured.
Sure.
So that's a new nuance.
And I guess, does that constitute what we call a hardship? You know, that's how we would make our waiver decision on.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's uncharted territory for me. I don't think I recall any time us having to make a decision on a hardship based on availability of insurance.
Right. Me neither.
Casualty insurance. That's a new
Hey,
world.
but let me just, one thing I just wanted to add is, in regards to private streets with townhomes is something that we have done in the past here, and you've approved like 4 or 5 within the last 3 months in regards to that. I mean, we did Woodward Oaks cottages originally. We were gonna do a whole cottage development off private streets, fee simple off of private streets. We ended up switching to townhomes, and those townhomes are done off of, there's a public street on one, but the ones in the back are subdivided off of a private street. You've done the arbors off of Shelton Mill that was recently approved with private streets. because of that. And then there's, another one over, near Lee Scott, there was a fourth one. I mean, so it's not like we haven't subdivided off of a private street, you know what I mean? The only difference here is we're gonna have it's gonna be gated on private streets, you know what I mean? That's the only difference here.
But one
I
of the
just wanna make
concerns-
sure y'all are aware of that.
Thank you, Brent. One of the concerns that the city has often on private streets has to do with the people who live on them. Want to make sure that they're maintained, so they expect the city to maintain them, even though it's a private street. And when the party that's responsible for maintaining those streets don't maintain them, then you've got a problem.
It's a court issue.
Yeah, it becomes a litigation issue, and then the city, if they want to salvage anything, has to end up
Buying the streets.
taking the streets over.
How often does that happen? How often does that happen?
That we've taken private streets? Not very often that I
Now,
remember.
it doesn't happen very often,
It doesn't.
but it's a public relations problem, whether the city ever takes it over or not.
We get plenty of requests, but we've not actually
What
taken them.
about the utilities other than the streets? I know we talked a little bit back about it, but.
Yeah, the sewer and, there's a portion, can somebody go back to the, thank you. A portion of the sewer that goes through the site, if you come in off of Wire Road on that drive and hang a left to get out to Cox Road, that portion of the sanitary sewer is public and the remainder is private. Did I get that right? Okay. And the water is Lochapoka water, so it would be maintained however Lochapoka deems necessary.
Wow.
All right, any more discussions? I've had a long 24 hours. I'm not sure, did we get a motion? Did
We
you?
have a motion and a second.
Motion is made and seconded for the waiver or for the preliminary plan?
Waiver
The waiver,
for approval.
okay, for approval. Are we still discussing that waiver, or are we ready to? All right,
I
call
think
for the
it's,
motion. Huh?
I'm just gonna say that I think this is such a unique circumstance. And I could argue there's a level of hardship to the public with this, you know, because of the really high, it sounds like, insurance that, you know, I would be okay with the waiver.
Yeah, and also the fact that it is gated for people who are over 55 to go live. I mean, it's that type of development as opposed to a general development where anybody can own a, because I'd be concerned about it if it was just something that everybody could buy, because I don't want to turn Auburn into a gated community. You know, anytime you have single-family houses, it's really important that it be access for everybody, that we don't create walls all over the city for one project or another. So I would add that dimension to it as well.
And that should show up in the public record so that when we discuss another one in the future, we'll have that benefit of that background. All right, the motion, are we ready for vote? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and the motion carries. So now we have a waiver approved.
I'll move to approve case PP 23029, Dawson Villas subdivision phase 1.
Preliminary plat.
Second.
Preliminary plat.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries, both the waiver and the preliminary plat. Which brings us to the final plat for the same project. And so I don't know if there's any need for another
Nothing new.
presentation on it.
I'll go ahead and make-
36 lots, Dawson Villas Townhouse Development.
I'll go ahead and move to approve case FP 2023-024 Dawson Villas subdivision phase 1 final plat.
Seconded?
I just have any different notes, comments on here.
No, they were all the same.
Thank you.
Okay, this final plats do not require public hearing, so is there any further discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. The final plat is approved. Brings us to the Mims Trail, I believe. Mims Trail, 12th edition.
This is a request for preliminary plat approval of a performance subdivision consisting of 50 single-family lots. with one lot dedicated to open space and one lot for a lift station on 17.9 acres. It is located within the Mims Trail PDD at the current terminus of Mims Trail and Rutland Road. And here's the plat showing the 52 lot subdivision. And I will add that the preliminary plat did expire in December 2022, and that's why you're hearing this again. And I would also note that majority of the comments are pretty notational.
No changes since the expiration?
No.
All right, thank you. Is there any additional things you want to say, Brett? Okay. This requires a public hearing. So is there anyone here wishes to make any comments or ask any questions regarding this proposal? There is none, so I'll close the public hearing. And is there any further discussion needed on the proposal? Or is anyone prepared to make a motion?
I move to approve PP 2023-031, preliminary plat, Mims Trail, 12th edition.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion of that motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. Here comes the final plat for Mims Trail, 12th edition.
Basically same request, final plat, yep.
Okay. Is there any, there's no hearing on this. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve PC case FP 2023-023 Mims Trail subdivision final plat.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. Next item of business is the Airport Road Warehouse.
This is a request for a conditional use approval for commercial support use, a warehouse. The property is located at 539 Airport Road in the CDD zoning district, right directly beside Auburn University Regional Airport, and it's surrounded by similar type uses. The warehouse will be approximately 7,300 square feet on 1.89 acres, and staff recommends approval.
Okay. Is there representative of the? Okay. All right, this requires a public hearing, so we'll open that public hearing now. Does anyone wish to address this proposal? If not, they'll close the public hearing. And any further discussion or any more information you need from staff or the representative?
I move to approve CU 2023-044. Conditional use.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to forward to City Council with a recommendation for approval. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the project is approved. Moving to Beehive Park, lots 6 and 7. Katie?
Yes, this is a request for a conditional use approval for a commercial support use for a warehouse. The property is located on Hive Commerce Parkway, which is in a new commercial subdivision off of Beehive Road. The subdivision was, the property was annexed and rezoned earlier this spring, and then the subdivision plat was done in the summer for the commercial subdivision. This is a request to consolidate 2 of the lots in there, so the size of the property will be 2 acres. The warehouse building is approximately 7,500 square feet, and there is also an ancillary building in the rear that is also for the use. There are similar uses throughout this area of Beehive, but this is the first user within this new park. We did not receive any correspondence, and staff does recommend approval.
Okay.
Any notational things?
No, just, there are not many conditions.
This missed my packet. I don't.
Oh, no, sorry. There are no conditions of approval, we just recommend.
Okay. All right, does the representative for the applicant wish to make any comments or any further discussion with them?
Not sure that they're here.
They're not here. Okay, probably not here. This does require a public hearing, so if there's anyone else who would like to make a comment, ask questions, et cetera, about this proposal, please do so now. Feel free to do so now. Anyone? And there is none, so are none. So, we gotta get my grammar right here. Oh, but anyway, is there any further discussion of this project, or is there someone here?
I'll move to approve case CU 2023-045 Beehive Park conditional use request.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded that we forward it to the city council with recommendation for approval. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. Ashton Glen subdivision.
For this request, the applicant is requesting a preliminary plat approval for a 21-lot performance residential subdivision. The property is located off of Watercrest Drive and US Highway 280 in the CDD district. The plat consists of 19 single-family lots and 2 open space lots. The subject site is currently wooded and undeveloped. Approximately 76% of the subject property resides in floodplain adjacent to Saugahatchee Creek. And the plat originally came before the Planning Commission in January 2022 and has since expired.
So no changes?
There have been some added notes, but the request is the same, yes. There have been many inquiries from the public regarding this, and
Same.
their concerns were the effect on the property values of Ashland Lakes and traffic.
On the plan where it shows the, do we have a bigger one you put, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The crosshatched, part is, that's not wetland, what is that?
That's floodplain, I believe.
Pardon?
Floodplain?
That's floodplain, okay, it is floodplain. So some of those lots have a very narrow strip that's buildable, is that correct?
Or they just have to build up.
Flood insurance
Build
for any
up.
building.
That's correct. We have a note in our staff
Yeah.
comments that the lots 4 to 6 and 15 to 20 must provide finished floor elevations,
Okay.
You said 4 to 6 in which?
and 15 to 20.
Back around the backside.
Oh, okay, got it. Where's the, I was under the impression there's some sort of either greenway or bike path or some kind of
That's correct.
It is.
Yep.
access here. Where's that at? I can't
along-
quite figure that out.
Saugahatchee Creek, there's a greenway that's been provided in the plat.
I didn't unfold it. Okay. All right.
So the Greenway and Green Space Master Plan shows a proposed greenway along Saugahatchee Creek, which constitutes the southern border. A 30-foot greenway easement is provided with the proposed plat, and we've recommended that the development should consider providing access from the subdivision to the easement. And it is in line with, I believe it's in connection with the city of Opelika's Greenway Master Plan 2, which is abuts it from the north.
So that was just, that was a comment rather than a requirement. I mean, on the connection of the development.
That's correct.
to
They would
that.
just take access off of 280 if, yeah.
Let me throw my bike out as I go by. Okay,
My kayak, while we pull over.
okay,
Okay,
thanks.
appreciate it.
So to that note, comments, conditions have been, I kept going back and forth. So it needs to be approved with staff comments, right? if we move that way to make a motion, so that that follows it, because that may or may not have been on the original plat, I guess, or preliminary plat.
Yeah.
To make the connection between the subdivision and the greenway. Okay. Got it.
That works for me.
Appreciate that, Connor. Is anyone from the developer wish to bring anything to our attention?
Yeah, Brett Basquin with the Foresight Group. We're the civil engineers on the project. So it was recommended for approval. Y'all are wanting to implement the staff comments. Our only point is you're talking about the distance between these two to go from the cul-de-sac in this development to this greenway is, probably 3,000 or 4,000 feet.
Just access. I didn't say you had to pave it.
Well, yeah, I know that, but do you want to live there where people are parking in the cul-de-sac and walking between your yards? I mean, if the greenway's coming down Salgahatchee, the city should provide the facilities to access it, and it goes by Ashton Lakes and carves through Ashton Lakes right off the right-of-way there. So there's plenty of places to access it. I just think you really hamper this particular area when they're going to have to trudge through. Essentially, there's nothing but wetlands between this side and the thing. It's really not that feasible to do it,
Oh, so the dark is all wetlands then?
Yeah, everything. I mean, there's
And the floodplain is just up there by the,
the floodplain and the floodplain and the wetlands about start at the same place, but everything essentially between here and Salgahatchee Creek is all floodplains and wetlands and undevelopable land. Not good for much.
I'd rather them park on Watercrest Boulevard and get their kayak out
Exactly.
than 280.
Yeah, but I just think, we have sidewalks internal here. My only thing is if you provide a path going through there, it's not feasible that people are gonna walk 3/4 of a mile that far to get to that, when there's easily, when you get into the neighborhood, Salgahatchee crosses back through Watercrest.
They can park at the pool, right?
Yeah, and you can park at the pool. Yeah, that's,
all right,
So-
that's
Okay.
reasonable.
Okay. All right, this is now time for the public hearing on this proposal. I'll open that public hearing now. Is there anyone wish to ask questions, raise issues with this subdivision? I see no one coming forward, so we'll close the public hearing and continue any discussion that's needed.
I mean,
Or is there anyone prepared to make a motion?
I'll move to approve PP 2023-026 preliminary plat Ashton Glen subdivision.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded for approval. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. Okay, preliminary plat for Talmadge subdivision.
Too low. All right, this request is for preliminary plat approval for a 7-lot conventional subdivision located at 2042 Bonnie Glen Road. The property totals approximately 15.9 acres, and the smallest property on the site for the subdivision would be 1.04 acres, while the largest lot would be 4.3 acres. It's currently zoned rural. This preliminary plat was previously approved in November of 2019, so it expired in May of 2021. But this plat that you're currently seeing is consistent with the previously approved plans. Staff is recommending approval of this request, and I can answer any questions that I can, if you have them.
Is anyone representing the developer here that would want to make a comment? Yes, ma'am.
Well, like I said, I didn't really, I was just coming to.
So you're here for the
listen.
public hearing?
Yeah.
Well, I'll open the-
No.
Oh, you own it. Okay,
I'm
I'm sorry.
I'm the developer, but I'm really.
Oh,
No,
okay.
okay, so,
Can
and
you
I
have your
didn't
name and
realize
address, please?
What, Sharon
Name and
Stick,
address.
42 Bonnie Glen Road. And this actually is a development that comes off of Summerlin. It's Talmadge Lane, so it's access through Summerlin. So it's just a family property that we're gonna build 6 lots, and like I said, we had it approved 3 or 4 years ago, but I didn't realize there was a timeline, and so we are just now we weren't in a rush, so we're just now kind of getting to building the road
Okay.
into the neighborhood,
No problem.
okay? Thank you. Any questions?
Don't think so. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, now, I'll open the public hearing and see if there's anyone wish to address this. And no one is shifting in their seat, so we will close the public hearing and continue any discussion if needed.
I'll move to approve case PP 2023-027 Talmadge subdivision preliminary plat.
Second.
All right, the motion for approval has been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And this motion is approved. Bridgewater Phase 1B.
This request is a preliminary plat approval request to redivide 10 twin home performance residential lots into 8 single-family residential lots. The property is located in the Cary Creek PDD, south of Cary Creek Parkway. It is approximately 4.48 acres. The plat to approve 10 twin home houses was back in 2019. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Is there anyone here representing the developer?
I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, oh, there, all right. This requires a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing now. Is there anyone wish to address this proposal? There's none, so we'll close that public hearing, and is there any discussion, questions? Commission? Or motion?
Move to approve case PP 2023-2028.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded that the subdivision be approved. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion is approved. Bridgewater Phase 1B, final plat.
It is the same request for the item before, it was just for final plat now, and no changes.
I'll move to approve PC case FP 2023-025 final plat for Bridgewater Phase 1B.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded for the final plat approval. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries. Now we have another preliminary plat for Northgate Subdivision Phase 1.
This request is for a preliminary plat for a 51-lot, single-family detached and townhouse performance subdivision located on the west side of North College Street and south of US Highway 280. The site totals 19.24 acres approximately, and is currently, the northern portion, as you can see, is, the northern portion, as you can see, is within CDD zoning district, while the southern portion is within the DDH zoning district, and both contain a PDD overlay. The proposed site plan is phase 1 of the Bottle Master Development Plan. That is not in here apparently. And it includes 38 townhome lots, 12 single-family detached lots, and 1 future development lot. Staff is also recommending approval for this request, and I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Significant comments,
No significant comments. It was previously approved and in February of 2022 and expired just this August 2023.
right, so there's not anything new
No
added.
changes.
Nothing new, it's just the building footprint for phase 1 was significantly decreased from the previously approved plat.
Questions? All right, any representative of the developer wish to add anything?
I have no comments.
Oh, you got a question?
They gotta be town owners.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing on this subdivision. Does anyone here wish to address this subdivision? I see no one. We'll close the public hearing and,
I'll move to approve case PP 2023-030 Northgate subdivision phase 1 preliminary plat.
Second.
motion been made and seconded for approval. All in favor, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a concern,
Okay.
before you second it. There's gonna be one entrance in and out of this subdivision, at least at this point. It's off of a state highway. It's downhill, traffic coming off of 280. If somebody wants to make a right turn in there, they're just gonna, slow down and make a right turn, 90-degree turn. If there's a string of traffic, which there often is, and you don't know somebody's gonna turn in there, and there's no deceleration lane, it's very dangerous. So we're really in a bit of a conundrum here. Traffic on that stretch is very fast, if you've ever driven up there. And especially on weekends, next fall, for example, well, even anytime the students are coming back on a weekend. the traffic- yeah,
I
you can-
travel it every day.
So my concern is, I don't know the answer. We have a real problem here with safety, with cars coming south on 147, wanting to make a right turn in. Actually, I'm not clear making a left turn in, coming north, there's no center lane, so they're gonna have to stop in traffic, which, at least it's uphill. So I just have concern on, we're creating a problem, or the
Does this not
developer has.
require a decel lane?
It does, yeah. The design plans include a left turn, northbound left in, and a right turn deceleration. I know you can't see me.
I literally can see nothing.
Yeah.
So there will be a deceleration lane. that
It
what
is required, but it's a state highway, so it's not on Allison's timeline.
I understand that.
Yes, it is required. So the developer has been working with the DOT, and I think I may have explained this a little bit on Monday, that the DOT is preparing to resurface 147. And so they are working with the developer to try to time those improvements
Okay.
accurately. But we won't let them get too far without those lanes being in
Great.
before occupancy is given on structures.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
Very good.
I'll second then.
The motion has been made and double seconded. Any further discussion of the motion? And the motion is for approval, if I recall. And all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion is approved.
Final plat.
Northgate subdivision, final plat.
It's the same subdivision request, just moved to final.
Move to approve case FP 2023-026 Northgate subdivision phase 1 final plat.
Second.
Been made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Chairman's communication is merely to suggest to the staff that we, at our next packet meeting, share our philosophy. Let's go back and talk about our philosophy of when and how do we have a final plat on the same agenda we have the preliminary plat. I'm sure there's good reasons. I have no problem with that, but I just know that this is becoming increasingly more prevalent, frequent, and I just want to make sure we're.
Yeah, so.
I will say for the ones tonight, most of them are for expired
Yeah.
preliminary plats that they were coming in for final. We were like, uh-oh, well, your preliminary plat's expired.
Yep, and I think that was another thing that internally that we want to look at and just kind of getting on the same page as far as like what should constitute an expired plat if there is significant work done or if it's already going through DRT. Is the timeline the only threshold that shouldn't mean it expires? And so I think that's something that once again requires internal review that we're going to get on the same page about. So
Be worth looking at, yeah. All right, anybody else have anything to say? Well then, if not, meeting's adjourned. And Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night, and